trying to put my thoughts in order here.
Yeah, take your time.
So we're 5-0 going into the Georgia Tech game. Georgia Tech game is going to be on ESPN Thursday night, national television. Grant Field is going to be packed. It's going to be loud. It's going to be what college football is all about. You know, I have history with Georgia Tech. I coached 5 years there with Bobby Ross, won a national championship in 1990. George O'Leary was a defensive coordinator of that team. I was the offensive coordinator. We both went to San Diego Chargers. George came back and became the head coach at Georgia Tech. And then when we left San Diego, George wanted me to come back and be the offensive coordinator under him. And I decided to do that. Georgia Tech is a special place. I enjoyed my time coaching there. I had tremendous relationships with the players. I won the Broyles Award, which is the Outstanding Assistant Coach of the Year award there with Joe Hamilton. We set many offensive records. George Gotze played for me and was the quarterback I was going against, who, you know, I coached him for 3-4 years. Billy O'Brien was a graduate assistant for me, became the running back coach, then took over as offensive coordinator after I left. And so pretty much I was watching my offense be run against me by a really, really smart and very, very good football coach. And Billy's gone on to be very successful in the NFL and also in college. So this was a big game. Our players, you know, really, to be honest with you, really weren't in a game of this magnitude at all in their college career. And the game that represented them winning 6 games, which was Maryland's goal for the season, and also it made us bowl eligible. So one of the things I did for this game prior to the Friday night before the game is that I went over each personnel for both teams and how we matched up. And, you know, I was going to make us come out ahead, but I knew it was going to be a very close game, and I knew their players very well, and you know, I knew our players very well. But I wanted our players to have the confidence going into this game that we would win this game. The game started out very, very aggressive. They got the ball, they were driving, and then it became a 3rd and short. Billy O'Brien gets in what I call the bone formation, and he was going to run an isolation play off tackle. And I remember EJ made an unbelievable play. He jumped over the center, the running back, Joe Burns, who fumbled the ball, and EJ got off the ground. The ball is kicked around. EJ picks the ball up, and we got a couple of good blocks down the field, and he did a great job of running and ran about 50 yards for a touchdown, evading tacklers. EJ was just such an unbelievable player. When I was coaching against EJ, I never realized that how good he really was until spring practice. I thought he was kind of a tackle-to-tackle guy until the spring practice came, and I saw how good an athlete he was, how tough a player he was, how good a tackler he was, and he was a great blitzer. He beat Randy White's record for tackles for losses, and now EJ's in the National Football Hall of Fame. So here we are. EJ makes the great play, and we go up 7-0. Later in the second quarter, we drive the ball down, and we got 1st and 10 on the 10-yard line. Always a tough situation. We lined up in our dog formation and motioned like we're going to run our veer play to the right. And Shaun does a great job of going down the line, making it look like an option, and we run the reverse to Jafar around. I believe we caught him in man coverage, and the guy on Jafar got lost with the action, and it was a great call by Charlie Taff and a great job of executing the play by our offensive line and our offense. Now we're up 14-0. The momentum is on our side. As the game transpired, Georgia Tech came out the second half and gained the momentum. They went up 17-14. They kind of were taking it to us at that point in time. Things didn't look good. It was 1 minute and 30 seconds to go in the game. We had no timeouts. They ran an isolation play with Joe Burns, and EJ stuffed the fullback about 3 yards in the backfield, and Joe had to break it outside. Now, Joe is a very good running back, very competitive kid, and inadvertently he runs out of bounds, which I know he was coached to stay in bounds and just let the clock run, and they could have taken it down and made it really tough on us. But by him running out of bounds, he gave us the opportunity to stop the clock, Now they had to punt this, so they lost 40 seconds right there. So we had no timeouts left. We had to go 80 yards to score a touchdown, and we had to get in field goal range, and I thought Nick's field goal range probably was about 45 yards at best. And you have to understand where Nick was at this point in time. Nick had been in a slump. He had missed a lot of field goals in a row. I was on him in practice. You know, we drilled our whole execution every Monday night. If the ball wasn't kicked in 1.8 seconds with snap, hold, and a kick, then everybody had to do 20 up downs. Center, the holder, and the kicker. Anyway, the first time we did that, it almost erupted into a fist fight because they must have did about 400 up downs. What it accomplished was they got to understand that they were a team and how they executed under a team. And of course, doing those up downs put a little pressure on them, especially when they did about 400 of them the first time. So they got used to dealing with the pressure. As the year went on, they would go through that like it wasn't nothing. So here we are, and we're 1st and 10, no timeouts, 80 yards to go. We got to get at least 50, 60 yards to be in field goal range. We do a great job of 2-minute offense. We worked on 2-minute offense on Mondays and Thursdays. Wideouts caught the ball well. I think Bruce Perry and Julian Gary made a catch. Jafar Williams made a catch. Rich Parsons made the big catch that got us down, I think, to the 28-yard line. And we killed the ball. So now Nick was going to, 5 seconds left to go on the clock, down 17-14 on national TV. You know, first place in the ACC, gold bid on the line. And, you know, it's all right. And so George decides to freeze Nick. He iced him. I never let a kicker stay out there. And I bring Nick over to the sidelines. I told him a joke. I forget what it was. You know, I said, Nick, the last thing we did before we went on the trip is we always have a long field goal. And Nick kicked one from 50 yards. He hit it dead square. So I said, look, hit this just like you did the one before we left. I said, don't overkick it. Just smooth it like a good, clean golf swing. I said, you can do this. So he went out, and of course, Corso, who ironically enough recruited me to Maryland, talked about how he's never going to make this kick and this and that and so on and so forth.
They're so sensitive. You have to be careful with it.
This was his earlier attempt from 32 yards to the right hash.
Now remember, on this kind of a field goal, you need to rush in the middle and try to block it because a field goal kicker, sidewinder that's kicking a long one, has a tendency to kick it low. So if they block this kick, they'll block it up the middle.
See all those linemen, all the gladiators who have been battling for 4 quarters. Now you rely on a kicker to try to tie the game from 46 yards. Online, and it is goal! And we are going overtime!
What a kick! I was wrong. I didn't think he'd ever get that far.
I told you, don't count out my man.
And of course, Nick, you know, nails it, drives it through and to tie the game to put it into overtime.
Make that field goal. What's your thought?
I thought he was going to make it all the time. You know?
You never doubted him.
Well, I think he was conditioned to make it. That's, you know, it was just him believing he could make it, and you know, he gained so much confidence in that game. You know, he went on. I think set an ACC scoring record. I think from there he kicked like 18 in a row from there. So
I know.
I can't tell you how the place was going crazy at that point in time. All right, Georgia Tech wins the toss in the overtime, and they elect to defend. We go to the closed end zone. We're going to try to score a touchdown to put ourselves in good shape. If we don't, we got to kick the field goal. Georgia Tech does a great job of stopping us, and we got to kick a field goal. And of course, if Nick doesn't make this field goal, then they just got a chippy shot, and knowing George, he'd kick it right away because they have a good field goal kicker. So Nick comes through, kicks the field goal. We go up 20-17. Now Georgia Tech gets their chance. They score a touchdown, they win the game. They kick a field goal, we go into a second overtime. They come out, they throw a pass, it's complete. They come out and they run an isolation play again. The same play they ran where Joe ran out of bounds, and EJ again penetrates, causes confusion in the backfield. Joe fumbles, we recover, we win the football game. We have achieved 6 wins. We are now bowl eligible. And now I told our team, it's time to change our goals. It's time to change our goals to winning the conference championship. And that's what we planned on doing.
But you always planned on winning the conference championship.
Well, I always plan on winning everything. 6 wins to me was, but I hadn't been through what these kids have been through, and they were so close. They were 5-6, 5-6, and it was so important for them to be able to experience a bowl. Little did I know what was ahead for them.